The name Kilmar Abrego Garcia may not have been widely known a few weeks ago, but today it's at the center of a political and legal battle that's captivated headlines and stirred up sharp debate across the U.S. government. His case, entangled in immigration law, gang allegations, and presidential authority, is unfolding like a high-stakes political drama. What makes this story especially explosive? It involves not just the fate of one man, but a head-on collision between court orders, the Trump administration's immigration strategy, and foreign diplomacy with El Salvador. And at the heart of it all, a father of three from Maryland, deported to a country he was explicitly protected from being returned to. Who is Kilmar Abrego Garcia? Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Salvadoran national, entered the U.S. around 2011. By 2019, an immigration judge found credible threats against his life back in El Salvador and ruled he could not be deported there. The threats, allegedly from gangs targeting his family's pupusa business, were considered serious enough to grant him protection under U.S. immigration law. Despite this, in March 2025, Abrego Garcia was arrested and put on a plane to El Salvador. That deportation violated the court's previous order. Now, he's locked inside one of the most notorious mega-prisons in the Western Hemisphere. And the question remains, how did this happen? And why won't the U.S. bring him back? Oval Office denials and diplomatic defiance. When reporters pressed Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele about returning Garcia, his response was startling. Sitting beside former President Donald Trump, Bukele scoffed, "How can I return him to the United States, like if I smuggle him into the United States?" He wasn't done. Asked if he'd release Garcia, Bukele replied, "We're not very fond of releasing terrorists." Trump, visibly agitated, chimed in, "They'd love to have a criminal released into our country. These are sick people." These comments, made publicly in the White House, signaled a bold and clear refusal to honor the Supreme Court's directive that the U.S. government facilitate Garcia's return. Legal limbo and a divided government. The U.S. Supreme Court found Garcia's deportation to be illegal. Still, the High Court didn't order the government to bring him back, only to facilitate it. What does that even mean? It left the door wide open for interpretation. While District Judge Paula Shinas ordered the government to take all available steps to bring Garcia back, the Trump administration argues it can't compel a foreign sovereign, El Salvador, to release him. Stephen Miller, a top Trump aide, rejected any suggestion that Garcia's deportation was a mistake. He was not mistakenly sent to El Salvador, Miller said. This was the right person, sent to the right place. But federal courts have repeatedly said otherwise. Even the Justice Department described Garcia's removal as an administrative error. The MS-13 allegations, real threat or red herring? Trump officials claim Garcia is affiliated with MS-13, a violent gang labeled by the administration as a foreign terrorist organization. But this claim? It's murky at best. Judge Zinnes found the evidence shaky, pointing to a singular, unsubstantiated allegation and nothing more than his clothing, a Chicago Bulls hoodie, and a confidential informant's vague tip. Garcia's attorneys say he's never even been to the part of New York where this alleged gang clique operates. Even more telling, Garcia has no criminal record in either the United States or El Salvador. The $6 million deal, who's really in control? One especially jaw-dropping detail? The Trump administration reportedly struck a $6 million deal with El Salvador to detain alleged gang members, including Garcia. That's right. The U.S. is paying to keep him locked up. Attorneys argue this proves the U.S. does have significant control over Garcia's situation and could bring him back if it wanted to. A human story at the center of it all. Let's not forget the personal toll. Garcia is a father of three with deep ties to Maryland. His wife recognized him in a photo of new detainees entering El Salvador's CECOT prison. He was deported without due process. His case was mishandled at multiple levels. And now, instead of reuniting with his family, he sits in solitary confinement in a foreign prison, one that some are calling a human rights disaster. What happens next? The case remains unresolved. Court hearings continue. The Supreme Court's order still stands. And Garcia's lawyers? They're demanding transparency and accountability. Senator Chris Van Hollen and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer are pushing back hard. This is a constitutional failure, one lawyer said. The responsibility to return Mr. Abrego Garcia lies squarely with the United States government. And yet, as political rhetoric intensifies and legal deadlines pass, Garcia remains detained, thousands of miles from his home and his family.